Well, welcome back to Out to Lunch with Judy. Today might be the late lunch edition because when it's Monday, it's wash the hair day, exercise, water the plants day once I get into the office, and time just goes by. So anyway, for those of you on the East Coast or beyond, where it is beyond lunchtime, I apologize. This is the late lunch edition. Regardless, I have a very important message that has been weighing heavily on my mind. And I think I just came to a point where I can make it better. I can feel better. I can maybe add to the human experience that we're going through in this country with our election coming up. I'm a divorce mediator. And interestingly, being a divorce mediator helps me in many other walks of life. It helps me big time when I'm talking politics with people. Well, when I'm talking politics with people who are not my relatives, because I have unfortunately taken license with them and lost my cool. Never like to do that. Mediators don't behave like that. Mediators are connectors. Mediators help engage people that are on opposing sides of an issue and get them to see where their compromise point is. That's what mediators do. Mediators do not solve problems for people, but they do help get people to have a different dialogue, talk differently, think differently, so that they can engage with one another and figure out a compromise that works for both of them. Mediators can be creative brainstormers, but mediators have a very important place in life, especially now, because what's happening in our lives. So most of us, including me up until recently, didn't want to talk to anybody who didn't agree with me politically because it scared the shit out of me. So just for full disclosure, I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I've already voted. I already cast my ballot for Kamala Harris. And it's not that I'm a diehard Democrat. I'm not. I have been a Republican. I have been a Democrat. And now I'm an independent. And being an independent allows me not to be loyal to one party because they don't invite me to the meetings where they make decisions. I'm not wealthy. I'm not a donor. I'm not going to be behind those closed doors and my opinion asked. My opinion is asked at times on Twitter or the emails and texts that we get from whatever party thinks we're on that party. And I've been very vocal. I've been very vocal about the horrifying messaging I see coming out of the Democrats. Horrifying messaging. This election was theirs for the taking once Biden dropped out and Kamala came in. And I loved going through the convention with all of them, and I'm amazed that so many Republicans are now stepping up and have been stepping up, voting for her. Not that they're liberals, but that they put country over party because they do believe their party has been infected. Okay, we've all heard this before. I'm not going to regurgitate what you already know. I'm going to bring something new to the discussion. And so I'm going to say, instead of ostracizing the people who don't agree with us, bring them closer. Bring them closer. Engage them in a very different conversation when politics comes up. Do not pummel them. Do not try and force them to think like you. And this goes for the Trump people. Don't try and force the Democrats to think like you. No party is going to get the other person forcibly to think like them. It's not going to happen. Don't do it. We have a greater issue in front of us. Once the election is over, we still have the same neighbors. We still take our kids to the same school. We shop at the same grocery store. We're going to the same church. I mean, nothing's going to change for us except we're going to start being divisive in our own neighborhoods. So, okay, you go to somebody's house and they have a sign up that you don't like. At least you know how they think. They're sharing with you, at least on the surface, how they think. But I want to talk about the things that unite us. Beyond politics, we are united by things socially, culturally, recreationally. So what are the things that unite us? Well, we're all going to die. I mean, think about that. We're all going to die at some point. So that unites us. Nobody's going to live forever. The other thing that unites us is sports. And yesterday, the Los Angeles Dodgers won the pennant. Sports unites us. I guarantee you, out of all the Dodger fans, some are conservative, some are liberal. But we all celebrated that our city, Los Angeles, and our county, Los Angeles, is now going to be in the World Series. That's very exciting, even for people who really don't follow baseball. It's very exciting. And so I stopped by my favorite donut shop, Primo Donuts, around the corner from the gas station, because if it's Monday, I fill up the car. I mean, there's this whole Monday routine, right? So I stopped by. I thought it was a football, by the way. I'm a football fan. I used to be a baseball fan when Roberto Clemente was alive. As soon as he died, I was out. It killed me when he died in a plane crash on a mission, a voluntary mission to help some group of people. I mean, he was a real, my God, I'm not even remembering the words. He liked to give back. Let's just say it that way. He liked to give back to community. So I have been thinking recently, and the Dodgers winning the pennant now forced me to come out, but an experience I had the other night also is prompting this video today. And I want to share this with you, but I want to lay down the groundwork. We are far more united than we are divided. We really are. And we must acknowledge where our unity comes from. So our unity comes from we're mortal. We're not living forever. So how do we want to live our lives? And how do we want to wake up proud of ourselves every day? That's really important. And this has been an ongoing goal of mine this year is, what will it take for me to wake up proud of myself every day so I can start the day regardless of what's going on in the world? I can start the day happy, that I accomplished my goals the day before, that I was nice to people the day before, that I didn't run anybody over in the crosswalk. Now, I've never really run anybody over, but I have nicked people when I thought they were past my car, and they weren't. Not on purpose. God forbid, not on purpose. But anyway, sports unites us. We get together and we're fans of a team. Music unites us. We dance. We go to concerts. We have no idea who's sitting next to us, whether they're liberal or conservative. We just know we're there because we like the music. So we're bonding over that. So food and food. Food unites us. Let's see what's inside. Nothing. That's okay. I did my part. I'm supporting the team. I've never gone to a Dodger game, but I'm supporting the team. Sports, food, and music unites us, but so much more. We pray. Well, some of us. Some of us go to church, some of us don't. We have health. You know, we go to hospitals. We celebrate holidays. So there's a lot that unites us. And this thing with politics is really killing us. It's making me ill. And over the last few months, I was just sick to my stomach. And I didn't know how I was going to handle one of my dearest best friends, Trump, several family members, Trump. These are all people who would never hurt anybody. These are all kind, good people. We just disagree politically. I see devastation coming if Trump gets in. They don't. I may be more of a reader of history than they are. And I think that's super important. Those people who have read history, it matters. But, you know, I'm going to bring up the dreaded Hitler. I'm sorry. It's the last horrifying dictator person who devastated society. There are people who agreed with him. There are people who still agree with him. And there are people that didn't think it would happen. So he told everybody what he was going to do. He told everybody, you know, Jews were vermin, gay people, whoever else was his minority that he wanted out, wanted expunged from society. There were people that just didn't believe he was going to do what he was going to do. There were Jewish people, you know, that didn't get out of Germany in time. I had the fortune of speaking to 2 Holocaust survivors in their 90s recently, like 5-6 years ago. And they both said the same thing. We just didn't think it would happen to us. And that's how people think. People can't go that extra mile and think, oh, shoot, yes, what he or she is saying can happen. Knowing that, and knowing that I don't want to lose my relatives and my friends, but I do recognize that they might ruin my life. And so this is why I've been reacting harshly, or really making myself sick not talking. I do believe we all have to be mediators. I do believe those of us who can have to do what mediators do, certainly divorce mediators. And here's what mediators do. Instead of arguing, instead of allowing one spouse to argue with the other spouse, I try and change the dialogue. And I say, look, why don't we just keep asking the why questions? Please share with me how you think. Okay, you don't want to give me spousal support, alimony. Can you please share your thinking with me? And then they'll say what they're going to say. And then there's other questions to ask based on that. You don't fight back immediately. You keep asking the why questions until you get to a point where that person says, okay, well, maybe I can be flexible to a certain point. People will do that eventually if you allow them the freedom to talk. And don't disparage them. Don't try and convince them that their thinking is wrong. Just keep asking to be enlightened. Where did this come from? And if they give you facts, just say, can we please go to the computer? I'd like to see what you've read. More than likely, you will either have somebody say, well, I didn't really read it. My pundits, my favorite pundits told me. Okay, forget your favorite pundits. Our favorite pundits have ruined us. Forget our favorite pundits. Listen to the candidates. Listen to what they say. And then fact check them. Fact check everything. Fact check yourself. Only then, when we really engage people in conversation, can we really get to a place of compromise. We have to compromise with each other. We just do. Because the people running for high office, the people running for state office, they don't talk to us on a daily basis. They don't see each other. They don't see us at the gas stations, in the grocery stores, walking our dogs, feeding our cats. Cats, not kids. They don't live our lives. They live their lives. They don't live our lives. And certainly the people running for national office are so far away from us. I don't think they get what we're living through. You know, I really do want to know why gasoline prices went up so dramatically when Biden took over. I really want to know that, even though I voted for Kamala Harris. I would love to know that. Can you just tell me why? Joe Biden's not running. You're allowed to say why. And if you need to apologize, apologize. So I want us all to take a completely different tack with people that disagree with us. If you're for Trump and you're talking for somebody who is not, don't start talking a mile a minute. That's what people do who want to support Trump but have no facts. They talk a mile a minute. I think it's to cover up. The fact that they have no facts. Just have a conversation. Lower your voices. Don't say you're in shock, although you are. Don't say you're in shock. Just talk. Do a different kind of dialogue than you've ever done before. Do a uniting dialogue. Do a connecting dialogue. Because the other thing that unites us are human experiences. If you've lost a child and you meet somebody else who has lost a child, it really doesn't matter who they're voting for, does it? It matters that you connect with this person and you talk about that experience that has shaped your life. That's how we need to start thinking. A mediator, a connector in every family. That's what's important. Do not cut people out of your life because they don't agree with you. Embrace them. Ask them if they will just please share their thinking. If you want to be influential in any way, that's the way to be influential. To be kind, to be respectful. In the face of anything that threatens you, that scares the fuck out of you, you still have to embrace this human being as a human being. They know not for what they do. A lot of them don't. A lot of them, if Trump gets in, are going to turn to me at some point and say, I'm so sorry, Judy, I didn't think it would happen. I didn't listen. And what am I supposed to do? You know, before today, before my experience the other night, I wasn't going to talk to them. I was going to walk away. This is the wrong thing to do. So here's my experience the other night. I was at a dinner. It's a monthly dinner, a handful of colleagues in family law, we get together. The woman whose house we gathered at said, can I bring so-and-so? Well, I know so-and-so. I love so-and-so. So-and-so went to law school but didn't sit for the bar and became majored in psychology and teaches psychology at one of the major universities in Los Angeles. And I was really happy that she was coming because I loved her take on things. She always came out with this, different way of looking at things, and I really appreciated that. She's a different culture. So we're having dinner. Everything's going well. It evolves into politics. So everybody at the table, except this woman, was all on the same page, not voting for Donald Trump. And so therefore our conversations were really easy. I noticed as we were all talking, she wasn't engaging. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe she doesn't think like us. So I said to her, I notice you're not engaging, and I don't want you to be offended if you don't think like us politically. I don't want to offend you, and I'd love to give you the opportunity to talk. And she said, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm voting for Trump. Okay, you could have, these people, you could have heard thunder. The shock that went around the table was palpable, especially with the host who had invited her, who is friends with her. Apparently, they haven't talked politics. She was the most shocked of anybody. And so I just engaged her in conversation. And I said, so I am very curious. Why are you voting for Trump? And she said, well, it's just one issue with me. I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat. But it's only one issue with me, and that is Israel. And I said, well, what is it about Israel? Well, she couldn't tell me. I said, well, what isn't and hasn't the Biden administration, maybe soon to become the Harris administration, what haven't they done that you would like them to do, or what are they doing that you disagree with? She had no answer. She was talking around things, but not saying, well, I think we should have more military aid, we should send troops. Nothing concrete. Then she went into Iran. She is Iranian. She's Jewish Iranian. Nobody Trump likes, by the way. She doesn't fit the profile of who Trump likes, and she doesn't realize it, which brings me to so many people vote against their own interests. They just don't see it. They don't see it. So I said, well, what about Iran? What would you like to have done with Iran? And my voice was just like this. I'm in somebody else's home, and I don't want to offend this woman. I really did not want to, but I was very interested in her thinking. She could not give a response at all. And so two of the people tried to convince her to think differently. I didn't. I just listened to everybody. And she didn't get upset. And the other people didn't get upset talking to her, but the host, I could tell, was stressed out. And I'm thinking, no, trying to convince somebody to think differently isn't the way. As mediators, and we're all in family law, we've all mediated. As mediators, you meet people where they're at, and you explore their thinking without criticizing them. That's what you do. And so I don't think we did a great job of that. I backed off. I didn't speak after that. And I let the others take over. 2 people didn't speak. 2 people did speak. And I then, as the 6th person, became silent. And I drove home in shell shock. I woke up in shell shock. I talked to one person who went to the meeting who's extremely well read. And her comment was, geez, oh man, if you only have one issue, how can you not respond to it? What's going on? And I said, I think she's in the cult. The cult can't answer direct questions. The cult can't. This is a cult. People who have gone to January 6th, by the way, and stormed the Capitol are now talking about they were in a cult. They're advancing this conversation. That's why I feel free to say it. Nick Fuentes. Look Nick Fuentes up. He was standing with the guy with the horns, or he is the guy with the horns, I don't know. He now has a podcast trying to get people not to vote for Trump because he realizes he was hoodwinked. He was lied to. He heard Trump admit in August in 3 interviews, or September, whenever he did it, that no, he knew he had lost the election. He just didn't want to accept it. And as long as there were people to fight for him, he was going to fight and see if he could reverse it and still be president. There are people like this. Maybe it's not you, but there are. Okay, so that's the only reason why I freely say the cult now, because people who have been with him in that cult are now saying, wait a minute, no. If you never thought you lost the election, then why did you do this to us? Be careful. I'm just saying, we have to be careful. Whoever we put our money behind and our lives behind, we have to be careful. Anyway, so I woke up the next morning shell-shocked. And so I talked to 2 of the people there who were just definitely shell-shocked. And I said, the other thing I think happens with the Trump supporters, if you really don't agree with some of the things he's saying, or you can't really talk about what he's saying, you're either just a diehard Republican and you're not going to ever vote any other way. Okay, that's the way it is. You're still my neighbor. Or you're in the cult because you need a strong man. So that's what the cult needs. The cult needs a strong man. Any cult. I've interviewed a cult on my my divorce podcast. She talked about what it was like to be in a cult. So you join the cult because you feel the cult leader is going to help you advance your life. So you hook on to the cult leader, and then all of a sudden things happen along the way that don't make sense to you when you start thinking about it, and you can't make excuses anymore. Then you realize you're in the cult and you have to extricate yourself. Sometimes it's too late. But that experience really started making me think about, we have to talk to one another. We can't disconnect from everybody. We just can't. And instead of walking away from talking politics, walk towards it, but with a whole different perspective of looking for how we can connect. If you are talking to somebody who's literally making no sense, Pizzagate, you know, there are children, Hillary Clinton in the basement of that restaurant. Well, there was no basement. There's a Netflix documentary about it. There's no basement to that pizza place. You know, somebody tried to come in and free the children and realized he was led down the wrong path. So please remember, politicians lie to us. I don't care what side of the fence they're on, they lie to us. Which is why we have to be secure. We have to fact check, but we have to get along with each other. That's the main point of this topic today, this discussion, this Blue Plate special. We have to get along with one another. As long as we have strong relationships in our communities, we can deal with anything. So let's just say Trump doesn't win and we've got the Proud Boys and all these people ready to fight for him. If we can develop strong relationships with our neighbors, with our children's friends, parents, with the people we go to church with the people that we see at the grocery store. If our goal, regardless of how different we think, is to band together and find the things that unite us, we're going to move these bozos aside and we're going to start building strong communities from the ground up. And that's where we need to go. So that's my message. Mediators and connectors in every family, go ahead and engage in these talks, but in a very different way. Engage in the talks to compromise and to share our ideas and to just put our arms around each other and say, I love you. And that's my Out to Lunch with Judy thinking today.